Hello once again, Mustang fans, and welcome to Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm your host, Kelly Loft, here at Studio One. Great to have you with us again on this week's show. And again, we'll talk Mustang men's basketball with the head coach of SMSU, Brad Bigler. We'll take a look at the highlights from last weekend's two games at the RA facility. Mustangs beat Upper Iowa and then had the heartbreaking loss to Winona State University. We'll talk all about those two games here on the show. We'll take a look at the highlights, so a chance to watch one of the most exciting games at the RA facility in quite some time. And it will also preview this upcoming weekend's games versus Wayne State and Augustana College. And joining us, as always, is the head coach of the Mustang men's basketball program, Brad Bigler. And Coach, finished up your four-game homestand. For sure had to go 3-1. It would have been nice to go 4-0, and you did finish up with the 3-1 record, beat Upper Iowa 72-66 on Friday in a hard-fought game. And then the classic on Saturday, unfortunately, on the wrong end of it, Mustangs lose in double overtime, 87-81. But your overall thoughts this past weekend, kind of two different games. Upper Iowa, very disciplined team. I mean, runs their plays very well, and Winona State, a very good basketball team, but they kind of just throw up the ball and throw up some shots, and they happen to make some late in the ball game.
And quite a bit different, like you said, quite a bit different offensive system. With Upper Iowa, the spacing, the patience, the cutting action, where with Winona, if they're open, they're going to fire that three, and they look to score early in possessions.
Yeah, the Upper Iowa game that runs a lot of backdoor action. They did have a couple of those in the contest on Friday, but you guys continue to shoot the ball very well at a high rate, 62% in the first half, and still only had a 3-point lead. And the rebounding was key for Upper Iowa to keep them in the contest. And you had some turnovers again in the first half, but again, pretty good execution for the team offensively.
And just the patience that we had, I thought, on Friday night with. We got ball reversals, but we also made them defend certain actions, whether it's actually the rim off the dribble or post touches. The guys did a great job of just executing the game plan.
And the Mustangs, pretty balanced scoring attack against Upper Iowa, just 11 points, led the way of Jordan Miller and Scott Rail, 11 points each. But off the bench, Trent Carlson, 9 points, and hit 3 big three-pointers in the last 10 minutes, including the go-ahead shot with 1:25 to go. And Trent has done that here recently, Coach, and that's make some big shots. And he's playing some major minutes now, late in stages of ball games.
And at the end of ball games, what he's been doing is he brings those intangibles. He's the best communicator that we have, probably. A guy who is going to help get everyone in the right place at the right time. And then as well as he can knock down shots. He helps space the floor a little bit, gives them action, or gives some more driving lanes for Jordan Miller and Bernard to drive, and maybe gives a little bit more spacing for Scott Rail to make plays at the end of ball games.
An encouraging sign as well for the Mustangs. I mean, you shoot 56% in the contest, but you have 19 assists in the game, which is a high rate, for 28 made field goals. And you were out-rebounded, but still, won the contest with a late run in the contest to win and to kind of get that revenge for the game that Upper Iowa took from the Mustangs back in December. Again, pretty balanced night again for Bernard Birch. He had 6 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds, and 5 assists for Scott Rail as well. But talk about Bernard Birch, and we'll talk about his play against Winona State. Had some big numbers as well, but you're continuing to see him progress at the point guard position, and he needs to when right now you've got him and Jordan Miller are basically running the offense throughout the course of games.
And I just thought, even this weekend you saw him offensively get to the rim a little bit better, score. He was getting some offensive rebounds. He's really developing more than just that first pass, first type point guard. He's doing a lot more, and we're all going to always see his defensive effort. But he's becoming a good player for us, and it's important that we keep him on the floor. He can't afford to get those silly fouls early in ball games to take him out, and that just puts more pressure on other guys to step up and play that position.
Well, you talk about defense and how important it is. If you're going to play for the Mustangs, you've got to play pretty good, play solid defense. Explain to people at home what makes a good defensive player. Is it just? It's not just on ball. It's off as well, and communicating, as you talked about, is so crucial. And we'll see some of the highlights, and maybe we'll talk about them. But how critical that is, away from the ball to deny and just talk in general what it takes to be a good defensive basketball player.
Well, we always talk about our system defense, and that is flowing to the basketball, whether it's understanding positioning away from the ball. That's the biggest thing. How to get through certain screening actions, and also to understand if there's a drive, maybe so, for example, if they drive baseline, how to come over and fill, how to sink, and how to kind of flow to the basketball. There's kind of a flow to it when you look on the defensive end. And we also like to blitz. We'll bring pressure from different angles on post touches and having a good feel for that. And Bernard is a guy that will bring with the defense with the trap to the post. And there's a lot to it. Communication is one thing. How we defend ball screenings is another thing. There takes a lot of discipline in that. And there's a lot of things to it. What makes a great defender is the ability to react. The second that you have to think about something, and the second your step slow and you're not there making plays.
And that goes to communicating, and against, for instance, Winona State or even Upper Iowa, you're switching on screens, and that's all about communicating. When you see an opponent set a screen for their point guard going off to the left, and and a lot of people don't realize what's going on, but to tell somebody, hey, screen coming up, and then the switching, and I suppose that all, if one person messes it up, it messes the whole particular play.
And that especially goes with rotations. When there's defensive rotations or a scramble situation, that's where guys have to be able to read and react. And I think Bernard has got that. He's pretty good at it. So.
And then flipping to the offensive side of things, it's kind of the same principle, I suppose, away from the basketball and being a good offensive player. Again, most fans just see the scoring and the rebounds, but if somebody's in the wrong spot when you set a play, it completely messes up the play, and you've got to reset or you put up a poor shot.
And I always tell people, sometimes when you're watching the game, don't necessarily watch the basketball. Watch the other players on the floor and how they're moving with the basketball. See how their spacing is. See if they are getting other teammates open. And sometimes when you watch the game and you don't necessarily watch the basketball all the time, you get a better feel for a team.
Yes, and Mustangs did have a pretty good feel for it shooting-wise on Friday, beating the Peacocks 72-66 on Friday night at the RA facility. Upper Iowa shot 47% in the first half and finished the game shooting 50%, but were just 3 of 10 from behind the arc, and the Mustangs forced 16 turnovers in the game. We're going to take a look at the highlights from the game between the Peacocks and the Mustangs on Friday, January 28th, and we begin with Jordan Miller here in the first half with the drive and scoring 2 of his 11 points on the right wing here, going baseline.
And there you could use Upper Iowa as an example of off the basketball, how we have 4 guys right there and no one stepping up and taking away that layup.
Taylor Hughesby, 8 points, 4 rebounds, the offensive rebound, and 2. Just 7 second chance points for the Mustangs. They had just 7 rebounds offensively in the game, but there's an example. And here's something we haven't seen very often this year, a 10-second violation. Great team defense. And
it was important that we talked about it in the pregame, just energy on that defensive end, especially energy on the basketball in the half-court setting. Upper Iowa is a team that's there's a lot of action away from the basketball, and if you can disrupt their flow or their confidence with the basketball, then you're going to take them out of some things.
Nick Smith, a jumper from Scott Rail. And here on the defensive end, Scott Rail, the block shot. Mustangs really just an outstanding first 12, 13 minutes of defense, really smothering Upper Iowa in the game. You see Matt Zager with the steal, and then he'll go coast to coast with a beautiful lay-in. And Zager finishing with 9 points for the Mustangs. And another freshman again, Nick Smith from Iowa. Nice post move, and for 2 more points. Nice hook shot.
And Nick is, and we're, with Nick, a lot of it just comes down to some confidence, and he's played well. Both games against Upper Iowa, he played well. More assertive on the offensive end, and it's good to see.
You saw Casey and Susan Guth with a bucket. Here's Taylor Hughesby and Bernard Birch on the right wing. A nice drive and good take to the basket. Again, Bernard 6 points, 3 of 5 shooting. Trent Carlson drops an assist here for the Mustangs. Scott Ray on the block.
Good finish by Scott through the contact.
And then Susan Guth again playing some important minutes. The Mustangs break the press, 2-on-1, fast break, reverse layup for Susan Guth, 4 points in 10 minutes, and also had a rebound. Mustangs now break the press that, the Peacocks put on, and Matt Zager, freshman to freshman for the Mustangs.
And Bernard Birch going in. This is where we saw all weekend, this ability to get to the paint, make plays, and to finish with the big guys.
Move on to the second half. Mustangs had a 3-point lead at half, 34-31. Scott Rail with the jump shot buries that. Scott just 4 of 11 shooting. Did finish with 5 assists, 6 rebounds, and 11 points. And Lavion West with a 3 of 4 night shooting buries that mid-range jumper. And then here's a 3 for Matt Zager, his only 3 of the night. You'll see him here on the baseline and cuts through some screens, and just a nice basketball play there for the Mustangs.
And just emptying out the backside, a screen-the-screener type action. And Matt steps up and knocks down the shot.
Again, Jordan Miller with an assist. He had a game-high 6. He ranks second on the team this year in assists. Good play again. And here's where we start heating up. Is Trent Carlson here in the final 10 minutes. Mustangs holding on to the lead. Upper Iowa battles back, retakes the lead, but the Mustangs come right back. And now it's crunch time. Jordan Miller there with a basket, and Lavion West with the baseline jumper. And then a big 3 here for Carlson, his second of the night, coming here in the bottom of the screen.
And he ends up getting fouled on the play as well. A good finish, good focus by Trent. Now you'll see here getting out in transition, Jordan Miller finishing with an and one.
Momentum on the Mustang side. We're getting, again, late in the contest. Nick Smith, good to see the freshman step up here with the shot. He's on the right side of the block, right block. Now sets a screen. And great feed from Jordan Miller. And again, that right-handed hook shot goes in. And here's Carlson to give the Mustangs the lead with the tie score at 64.
And that's a tough play to defend. I mean, you have to decide, we're going to take away Jordan Miller's drive, or are you going to step up and guard Trent Carlson? And right there, Jordan made the right play.
And the Mustangs closing out the game here. Scott Rail takes a charge, and the Mustangs pick up the victory. We saw Taylor Hughesby with that basket to help seal the win for the Mustangs, 72-66. The Mustangs, the victory, their third in a row, evening their record at 500 at 9-9. Again, the Mustangs shooting 56% on the night. So you get done with that contest on Friday, and you now focus up for Hawaiian night, Winona State coming to town, and you knew it was going to be a great crowd, and it was a very festive atmosphere at the RA facility. And we talked about last week how you need to keep the emotions in check. Everybody wants to make a big 3 or get a big dunk early on in the game to get the crowd going into it. But I tell you what, the Mustangs do lose in double overtime, but for really 39 minutes, you had the lead almost the entire game, a double-digit lead at certain points, and you really played a pretty good basketball game, and just made some mistakes down the stretch, and to allow Winona to come back, give them credit. They made some big-time plays to send the game to overtime. You take a 3-point lead in overtime, but Anthony Tucker hits a 3-pointer for Winona. It sends it to another OT, and just couldn't get the victory. But overall, it was a pretty good performance by the Mustangs.
And if you're looking at the weekend's games, we probably played better on Saturday than we did on Friday. And a lot goes back to guys playing with energy, guys playing unselfish. In the big game, we talked about it before before the game started, understanding that. Let your opportunities present themselves. In a big game, sometimes guys try to press too much, try to make the highlight play rather than make the simple play. And I thought for the most part our guys did a good job. Late in that second half, we always talk about having patience, but at the same time you have to have patience, but you also have to make them defend. And a little bit in that second half, we were standing a little bit too much. Yes, we were getting ball reversals, but we didn't get any action to the rim, and we weren't making them defend any actions. And that's where it made us take some difficult shots in the end of the ballgame.
Well, again, the Mustangs held a 6-point lead at half, 33-27, limiting the Warriors to just 32% shooting. 10 of 31. They were 4 of 15 from three-point range. And you mentioned all week they're a team that will shoot the ball from pretty much anywhere on the court. And they finish up, and obviously we played an extra 10 minutes, but an RA facility record of 44 three-point attempts. You look at the night before against Upper Iowa. Upper Iowa shot 48 baskets, field goal attempts. the entire game overall, and they shoot 44 from behind the arc, an incredible number. They made 14. Mustangs, on the other hand, the big difference, just 3 of 23 from three-point range, and did hit a couple late, a big one in overtime, to the Mustangs, but really just struggled. And, I wrote down a number here, Coach, over the weekend, second chance points, 35-18 in favor of the opponents. And, offensive boards, just far too many this weekend. And that really was the difference, was the offensive rebounding by Winona State in the overtime.
Especially at the end of the game when we needed a rebound. Anthony Tucker, I believe, hit 3 3-pointers, and all of them were off offensive rebounds, where if we can step up and someone just can make that play, that turns the ball game in our favor. That's one example of something that we had a missed opportunity. And there's, give credit to Winona for stepping up and making those hustle plays. One of them in particular, guy gets a tip on it, another guy gets a tip on it, and it bounces back and they knock down the shot. So you do have to give Winona credit for the extra effort on that too.
That was an amazing contest. The Warriors entered the game ranked 6th in the region in the latest NCAA Central Region rankings, and would have been a great win for the Mustangs. But again, they lose 87-81 in double overtime. Another heartbreaking loss. Mustangs have now, I think it's 4 straight overtime games we've lost in the last couple of years, and a couple in double overtime, and some way it's going to turn around here in the next few weeks, we hope here. But again, the Mustangs, 5 players in double figures. It's been quite a while since that's happened for the Mustangs. 14 points for Lavion West and Bernard Birch. Great night for Bernard, playing as a true freshman against a very good team. 14 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, just 2 turnovers in 40-plus minutes of play. 10 points, 12 boards for Scott Rail. That's another double-double. And Taylor Huseby had 12 points and 7 rebounds. And Jordan Miller, 12 points as well. And again, just some critical possessions. We'll watch them here in this highlights shortly. But overall, though, despite not making the 3-pointers, you still had a comfortable lead. You made some big plays, and it's just executing down the stretch. And as you've mentioned, it's not because the guys aren't trying. That's all you can ask. They tried to make some plays and, just missed some free throws. And what can you do? We're a pretty good free throw shooting team, and it just wasn't our night at that particular time.
Yeah, if you look at the free throws, a few missed layups in there, and then a couple of open opportunities from the 3, and we got some pretty good looks. It's just a matter of knocking down those shots.
Well, it's a pretty amazing night when you could just think of so many different plays, and, with under 6 minutes to go in the game, Mustangs up 9, have the ball, miss a 3-pointer, or actually a 12-point lead. You go up by 15, it's probably over. Maybe you make a free throw, you go up 10 points. And again, give Winona State credit. They've played 4 overtime games this year, and they won 3 of them. And, it's the difference right now in having, 3 or 4 more victories than what the Mustangs have. So, again, Mustangs lose 87-81. We've got a lot of highlights, and if you were there at the ball game, it was an exciting night of highlights. So let's take a look at those highlights from the game. A Hawaiian night crowd and absolutely packed house at the RA facility. And we start off here, Scott Rail with a couple of baskets early. Again, a double-double for Scott. And again, the Mustangs, points in the paint, 40 in this game.
And that's where, when we're talking about points in the paint, just having some patience, getting some ball reversals, getting action to the rim. That's how we like to play, and that's where we are playing at our best.
Mustangs shot 41% in the opening half. Lavion West with a couple of jumpers here in transition. One off an end out and then off transition. Mustangs held the lead for almost the entire first half. A couple of leads early for the Warriors, but there's a great pass to Taylor Huseby, and here comes another one for Huseby, gets the and one. Mustangs in the opening half, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. And here's a basket for Zager.
You see Zager's the type of guy who, he's that guy who can get to the rim. And we've talked about it several times. He brings a different dimension to our roster.
Lavion West finding Nick Smith. He'll drive in and score 2. Nick now in the starting lineup. That's his only basket of the game. Played 15 minutes. Defensive side, steal for Bernard Birch. Up ahead to Matt Zager. And lays it in. Thought maybe try to dunk that ball, but good choice not to. And then Bernard up ahead again for the Mustangs. Here's Zager hustling down and forcing Winona State to take a timeout. Jordan Miller, 12 points, reverse layup. Nice play.
And you'll see here Bernard Birch just picking the right timing and goes in and finishes in transition.
Mustangs really having the momentum here, up double digits. Here, the shot wouldn't go, but a foul. Right, Bernard Birch, good pass, and Bernard scores again. Again, a nice night for him, 14 points, 5 assists, 9 rebounds. And Lavion West also a pretty good night early on, getting to the basket, making some shots here at the top of the key.
Nice drive. Finish with the left hand.
And again, Lav, 14 points in 36 minutes. We go to the second half. Mustangs leading by 6 at half, and maintained that lead. Got down to 3, did the Warriors, but again, the Mustangs had an answer every time. And here's one of the few three-pointers the Mustangs hit, just 3 in the game, and here's one for Miller off the top of the key.
Off a ball reversal, Taylor comes over with the ball screen, and Jordan steps back and knocks down the 3.
About 12 minutes ago in the game, Lavion West, tight defense on Anthony Tucker. He turns it over, and here's Trent Carlson working against Anthony Tucker and draws the foul, going to the basket.
And that was late in the shot clock. Trent had to make a play, and that's where we need to do a better job towards the end of the game, just getting action to the rim end of the shot clock.
Tough hit by Scott Rail, gets the roll, and then Trent Carlson will hit a 3. And again, at this time, you feel it. The Mustangs are, playing at a high level, really controlling the Warriors and looking to snap the losing streak here at home against Winona State. Here's Jordan Miller with a block shot. Good help, and the Mustangs come away with it. And then Bernard Birch back on the offensive end finds the lane down the right side.
Again, and Bernard just continually showed it all weekend long, the ability to get to the paint and finish.
Getting here in the final minutes of the contest, good job by Scott Rail getting the shot fake and the foul, and a great end out. Lavion West scores from Bernard Birch's pass. Now again, we're getting to the final minutes of this game, and we'll break down some of the plays here in transition 2-on-1. This is with the Mustangs going up 9 on this play with 7:10 left to go. But the last field goal the Mustangs would make here tonight was right there.
And there's where that was a big point play of the game. The turnover by Jordan and the foul by Trent. In both regards, just a difficult play that we need to find a way to make.
Here's the final attempted shot here in regulation, good block, and then right here, Jordan Miller, a great lick coach to win it.
And from my angle, I was, maybe an inch closer, and we're walking away with the win.
And now we're in overtime. Mustangs, Jordan Miller, big hit, and continue on. Now here's some opportunities and offensive boards for the Warriors, and Tucker just calm drills the 3. This is where the Mustangs were having the lead. This gave the Mustangs a 3-point lead with about 1:20 left in overtime. But again, a missed opportunity and missed old board. And the Warriors come away with it, I should say. Down by 3, and Tucker misses the 3. Unfortunately, comes right back to him and just hits a tough shot.
Yeah, and it's, Lavion falls on the play, kind of thinks the play's over with after the shot's up and forgets to box out. As you see here, we miss another opportunity with the missed layup. And then this would be the last play of the game, or last play right before the first overtime.
Yeah. Block shot by Trent Carlson. And the Mustangs now going to double overtime. Take a quick lead. Mustangs, he usually can't come away with the first effort, but does get the second. But then neither team could score for quite some time. The Mustangs didn't get a basket for the next few minutes, and they get a big rebound here, but just could not take advantage of it, Coach. And the Warriors made enough plays down the stretch. There's a charge.
And you'll see we got some stops. I mean, we were doing the right things. Here's another missed layup we have. That's that was costly. And at the end of the games, that's where it's a player's game. Guys got to be able to step up and knock down those shots or take advantage of opportunities. And you'll see here, we'll have another missed open 3. And that's a good look for Jordan Miller to come off like that. We'll see here Lavion West coming off the drive open lane, opportunity to make a layup, and just can't finish those layups. And
that would have gave the Mustangs a 1-point lead, but the Mustangs still trail by 1, and then Clayton Betty, his only 3-point attempt of the night, and he makes it. That puts the Warriors up by 4, and the Mustangs could not recover. An amazing game, so many twists and turns. I know the fans left exhausted, and I can't imagine. We talked about being a coach. I mean, I woke up the next morning at 6 in the morning, and it's the first thing I'm thinking about is how did this happen? And you mentioned it makes it a sleepless night as a coach, and thankfully the players are a lot more resilient than we are, because they'll bounce back. And here we're already at practice this week, and that's what you got to do. You got to forget about it, and you know, those are 2 games against Winona State this year that just incredible last-second finishes.
And you got to give them credit too, to be able to make those plays, to put themselves in position to win those ball games. The one thing about this last one, I mean, we saw the missed opportunities that we had, and you know, this one might hurt a little bit more than even the last-second shot, just because we really did control most of the game, and we had the ball game in our hands, and we let it go.
Well, the Mustangs will now bounce back and have to go on the road. Had a nice 4-game homestand, and will be on the road this weekend at Wayne State on Friday night, and then at Augustana on Saturday. And Augustana, one of the hottest teams in the conference right now, 8 straight victories. They're tied for 2nd place, and Wayne State, along with the Mustangs, tied for 8th. A huge game coming up on Friday, and a game that we dominated the Wildcats back in Marshall in early December, but a lot of things have changed since then. They're always a tough team to play at the Rice Auditorium in Wayne.
Especially going down to their place, driving the day of for that game. They're playing some different defenses now, so we'll have to be more prepared. And they're a team that they can put up some points. When Amory Shelby gets it going, they're as tough as anyone to beat in the conference.
Yeah, as I mentioned it just a few minutes ago about, you know, forgetting those past games and, you know, and just focusing ahead. What is we've seemed like we've said this a few times this year already with some tough losses, but, you know, what do you say to the guys when you get back to practice on Tuesday and, you know, just, you know, I guess you want that pain, what it feels like to lose, and to get that fire burning there to get back out there on the court and try to win another basketball game. But you know, what can you say to the guys in the locker room after the game, or even when you get to this week in practice?
Well, I think it comes back to a pride thing. I mean, we're all competitors. We're doing this because we love the game, and you know, it's one game, and we still have the opportunity. I mean, we still control our own destiny. I mean, it's right there, and now we have to just bounce back from a tough loss, and it's no different than what we said earlier in the year, and just get ready to go this week. Make sure we prepare ourselves the best way we can.
Well, again, the Mustangs on the road this weekend at Wayne State, Friday night, 8 o'clock start. Saturday's game is a 6 p.m. start in Sioux Falls, 6 o'clock start versus Augustana College on the Saturday. And, of course, the Mustangs will return home the following weekend to take on Concordia and St. Cloud State. Should be a fun weekend when the Mustangs return home as well, and let's hope we get some victories this weekend. Coach, best of luck to you and the guys down in Wayne and in Sioux Falls. That's the head coach, Brad Bigler. I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching this week's edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler here at Studio One. I want to thank Jess Nelson again in Studio One for getting us on the air, and thanks to you for watching on cable access and on the internet. We appreciate all your support. Until next time, go Mustangs!